Welcome to another edition of, what the fuck, happenings here in Santino's, in Santino or something. Anyway, in Mendham. I just thought I would do something outside. Very strange summer, I have to say. It hasn't been very hot. It's been kind of cool, actually. And not as much wildlife as usual. Some butterflies over there, but they never are out when I'm out. Bastards. Anyway, but yeah, I got some video, and such. But I figure I would do this a little bit outside before it rains. It's going to rain. So, the hibiscus are late this year. They're not very big flowers either. Kind of smallish so far. But we'll see. Yeah. So, birds did eat most of my apples anyway. Got some, very good, but 10%. Birds took 90. So that's kind of disappointing, but everything's kind of disappointing actually. Just kind of a rough year. And I assume they'll get rougher. But whatever. It's just hard to generate enthusiasm for the process of grinding through life. So that's where I am right now. So it's all kind of drudgery. And yeah, it's just not the best of times. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, some things really good. Nice cut grass. Somebody does that. Anyway, so there's probably things to talk about and such. As I go to the mailbox. Just do some outside video, walking and talking, the old tradition, since I haven't been doing much of that. And yeah, so I don't have an agenda yet entirely. Flowers up there. No mail. Just cleaned up this area here. All kind of nice. Bunch of bumblebees living in there. See if I can provoke them to come out. Provocation. Provocating. No, nothing. I think they moved. Anyway. So, before we get on to the the usual, the people, the pro-lifers are idiots, and they must be stopped. The agenda, yes, the agenda of stopping the lunatics from, putting new wings on the asylum, filling all the beds with the pathetic. There's the go-to residence guy, the French-Swiss guy, who I tend to like for who knows what kind of reasons. Tomatoes. A lot of tomatoes. I'm sick of tomatoes already. But anyway, it's better than nothing. It's got food value and all that crap. But no praying mantises. It's just really bizarre. There's just nothing. Very little. That's another bug I haven't seen before. If I come out here with a camera, there won't be a single thing to take a picture of. But anyway, just the way it works. Anyway, so the go-to residence guy who does this run thing. They did a video of it. Anyway, I'll link below to the video. And just the whole holistic life kind of thing. Live with the land kind of thing. Maybe not. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Live with it, not opposed to it. But he has this theory that, an overview, where life is supposed to be something that you do in some kind of successful way, like you live and thrive and it's really not the system. Evolution and all of that stuff. It's about killing the weak. It's about the contest, the competition, and about destroying most of the models created. It's not about making. It's not about success. It's about creating failures, lots of them, and it's all kind of cruel and horrid. And so living with nature is kind of being a slave to that Borg, and so therefore I'm kind of in opposition to it in theory. Not that I'm not saying that minimalism isn't a good idea. Sure, reduce your evil footprint, but the system is evil and terribly wasteful and all that stuff. So anyway, yeah, it's still a butterfly over there. But it just sort of pisses me off, just because, like I said, if I come out here with a camera, but it's a monarch. They always spook too easily, so you need like a lens that'll let you stay a ways away. So anyway, all of this was a little bit mush, but sorry, I'm just not at my best. It's hard to care enough. It's just hard to get any enthusiasm going. It's just such a daunting task, communicating with humans. So, all these should have flowered this year, but they didn't. There's only one that's got a bud. It's kind of disappointing. But disappointing is the word for the day, I guess. So I'll say it till you're really sick of it, I guess. But anyway, alright, till I'm indoors and prepared to properly say something, which I might not be. Hey, there's a hawk's maw. Look how close I'm getting. See, now if I had the camera, these would be great pictures. You little bastard. I mean, it's just so funny. I had the good camera. Oh man, these would be great. This would be great video. Yeah, just But anyway, that's just professional liability or something. It's just just the way things work. It's never as easy as it should be. Yeah, that's probably what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it sounds like a good theme. Speaking of which, the blind cat is still hanging in there, but I really don't know what to do about it. I just don't have the stomach for any of this shit anymore. Not that I ever did. I have less of it now. So anyway, till next time. I'm back. Yes. Yes, for more. Really don't have anything though, so I'm going to just have to make it up, sort of. Because it's really just the same story. Holiday apparently did make a couple of videos, and I was good. I didn't watch them. But I'm sure it's the same old thing, just mocking suffering, and finding the simplest part of this argument for the nature of life. What's the person up to out there? Is that you would live it, you experience it, get a taste for it, and as you grow older, and I would think wiser, your perspective is enhanced by a certain amount of perspective, context. You can sort of add up what you've been manipulated by through your life, and how you've made probably many circumstances you'd like to be able to go back in time and correct based on understanding how what you thought was important really wasn't important, and that you lost or ruined something valuable because of some miscalculation. And I guess I would argue that once you get through all of your life, the minor deterioration and then the major deterioration and death, that you would have some perspective looking back and saying, what was all that about? In the sense that it did have a lot of useless, wasted time in it, and this element of nasty bits, and then these bits that you perceive as being somehow the profit, the gain, which was the satisfaction of some sort of need, some compelling curiosity or interest in having to know. And because you got an answer, you're satisfied. I suppose I would argue that anticipation was always more powerful than the actual been there and did that for most events, except for maybe sex or something. That was definitely worth buying the lifetime ticket if you can get one. But most things are, okay. I did it once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, but after that it's okay. I get it. It's just a brain state. You're just redundantly, daydreaming through it almost. And then when you add up what your life costs in terms of just the biosphere, the maintenance of existence, the obscene number of animals killed by nature to do this evolution thing, to enhance us in some way, based on the current standards of survivable, which through history change, and the organisms that survive the change are usually, keep it simple, stupid, lots of teeth and sharp things. They win. Poison, some kind of, they possess the ultimate weapons, so to speak. But they're simple weapons. And through time they survive with that simple defense or simple offense. But anyway, and so it really is just kind of it's only a few players that are doing this. Let's do something fancier. Let's be smart and think. So that sort of brings up the the guy from the physics channel, the James McRinn. He made a comment, something to the effect that he thinks we have been evolved to be irrational, not rational. And I certainly would argue that it was only the fact that our irrationality didn't evolve perfectly that it fails. There's no such thing as irrationality. There's just not doing rationality correct. It's not a real thing, doing something wrong, getting the wrong answer. So the fact that human beings have a failable intelligence, and that there's nothing requiring us to, I'd argue the operating system is functional, does work. It does the right thing. It knows how to process facts. The problem is the garbage in, garbage out problem. The problem isn't how our brains work. It's how our brains are nurtured. We're nurtured with false premises and silly axioms. We start our lives with all kinds of, propaganda about how I'm supposed to please a god and all kinds of boogeyman stories. We're maturated from a totally inferior position. You don't show up on Earth as an adult. You show up as a kid who doesn't have any knowledge and is short. And so you're at a huge disadvantage, and that all kind of helps make you breakable in terms of you don't have a fact checker, you don't have people, to help filter your information and, let you know what the truth is. So you're totally dependent on the culture or your parents to provide you with an honest representation of what should scare you and what shouldn't, and the world, what's a reasonable expectation for your existence. And that garbage in is what creates the garbage out. So we're not evolving to be irrational, and I don't think we're I don't think your native intelligence, your capacity, is something that might be based on how many, how extensive your vocabulary could be, or some other way of more efficient use of the brain or something. But there's clearly people who are more capable of processing information and people less capable. But clearly there's also very smart people who believe in gods or do some other kind of silly thing. And they have all kinds of affects, social dysfunctionality that clearly indicates a weakness in their perception, that they can't figure out that you look like a preposterous, nerdy fool, if you have your belt up to your boobs. That kind of stuff. You're giving yourself a self-imposed wedgie or some other kind of thing, and yet, obviously, your glasses are crooked. I mean, silly things. But, I mean, obviously, intelligent people, but so unintelligent that they can't see these obvious things. So, obviously, it's just a matter of the fact that they have just wasted their brain doing one thing, and it hasn't taken any time to learn anything else. So there's a limited amount of crap we could store. That seems rational to figure out. And some people are just storing a bunch of trivia and crap, and other people are storing stuff that has some sort of practical use, and then some people are storing stuff that is scientific or potentially useful. And most of us are just trying to do a little bit of everything, but enough to not be fooled and have a bunch of wrong answers. That's people's intent, but obviously most people are deluded idiots, so they're not doing it very well. They don't have enough information, or clearly that's a huge liability in the world we exist in. I mean, most of the world's population is ignorant because of a prohibition against being smart. It's God's will that you do God's will, and you're not allowed to really think about any other ambitions. Something like that, anyway. So it's all perception. It's all just this, what has been programmed, what you've been programmed to see, based on the knowledge base that's given you the models running in your head. I mean, people actually, I guess, have some sort of model where they actually make it realistic to think about there's a God somewhere or everywhere, and he has a plan for us, and we're going to go to some happy land after we're dead, and somehow they actually make a model of that in their head that somehow doesn't get laughably fairy tale-ish and silly very quickly, and they don't notice that, oh, that really is kind of silly. Torturing people forever for crimes they can't undo. What's the sense in that? It's already happened. They already molested and killed the little children. How does it make it okay by torturing them forever? How does that fix it? That's a really dumb person's solution. A dumb person shows up at the murder and says, torture them forever. That doesn't, who would think of that? I mean, unless you're trying to send a message to the other molesters, like I said, unless you're trying to accomplish something like prevention through deterrence. But without that motivation, it wouldn't make any sense. It's an insane man's solution. But anyway, I don't want to get into theology because it's all crap when you think about it. And the very fact that it's, as I've pointed out, it's just so ill-defined, this paradise you're going to. I guess everybody gets to have their own little paradise. Some people will, make hook rugs and forever and ever, and some people would knit booties, and some people, who knows what you're going to be, what your fun little job will be forever and ever. Whatever the brilliant plan is. But they don't tell you. They don't give you any details about this paradise beyond, unless you're a person who loves rubies and emeralds. Well, there'll be plenty of that stuff to go look at and rub. But beyond that, you're not given much of a perception of what the little happy land looks like, and why it's a happy land, why it's worth paying the price of admission, which is tolerating a whole bunch of horror. Spider. Yeah, he completed his task here on Earth. Vitamin bottle killed him. So anyway, very small one, very tiny spider actually. But he wasn't like the cobweb type. He had the look of a I'm looking for trouble kind of spider. Anyway, jumping type, attack spider. But that's all this is. This is just this. Any minute now, vitamin bottle hits you, and it's the end. You're done. And why would somebody impose that on somebody? Why would I put somebody at risk of all the bad outcomes? And just knowing the statistics of the real world, there's a lot of bad outcomes out there. And even the good outcomes. Like I say, you can't find a life that is like, oh man, that person's life was just so perfect. Everything went well, everything went right, and then they died in their sleep. I mean, there's just so few of those. Just so very, 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 very minuscule, small amount of lives like that. And most of them, most of us end up psychologically or physically crippled before we're halfway through the trip. Fact. And we're the privileged ones. We're the ones living the good life. It's a lot worse for the other people on Earth, and it's certainly a lot worse for the poor little critters that have to do everything the hard, natural way. Have to survive the real winter. Just nasty. So there's some more of the same old blah blah blah, but it always ends up going there. But yeah, there's no irrationality gene. There's no inherent failure mechanism. Intelligence is, the probability is that getting the right answer will be very helpful in your life. Like wearing a seatbelt or something, or whatever the thing is. It's likely the right answer is going to be beneficial. And so getting right answers is the tendency. The fact that we don't do it well enough is because you don't need to be very smart to do this thing. And so a lot of people who aren't very good at adding 2 plus 2 can figure out this. And any moron can do it. And that's really the problem. We're not really evolving because we're not really in a competition that defines your survivability based on what you do or what you know. We're living in a system where the society creates a lot of tapes, yellow tape. It puts around stuff. It puts no swimming signs up. It puts stop signs up. It puts all kinds of mechanisms in the way so the retards can't get herded. And it puts all kinds of incentives it builds into the system to keep their babies alive. Social infrastructure. So people who are incompetent end up having kids who do survive their incompetence because the society fills the gaps, fixes the problem. So there's lots of reasons you can understand why it's not our brain that's broken. It's what it's fed, mostly. I think clearly it would be less breakable or less vulnerable to absolute bullshit if there was real evolution and only smart people bred. There probably would be a time when our brain would be too capable of doing introspection and fact-checking that it wouldn't be a sucker anymore for completely silly stories like religion are other delusions like Mother Nature or some other kind of bullshit, silly axiom that somehow there's this innate purpose to being a feeding machine, like all the other feeding machines. I mean, the video in the background's probably got butterflies and other kind of fish and shit in it, and what are they doing all the time? Looking for a meal. That's their life. Eat, 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 eat. Shit, fuck, die. Eat, 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 eat. Shit, fuck, die. That's it. There's nothing else happening. There's no other show. We're just machines like that. And we have this processing brain to make us more capable of doing that by recognizing danger and being able to do risk equations. And the same thing they're doing. Saw a bug the other day that was really, really good at, he could hide. Like there was the stalk of the hibiscus, and he just kept moving. So wherever I moved, he moved behind the stalk. And he was so incredibly good at it. And I was thinking I probably should try to get a video of him by just putting a camera in behind me and seeing if I can find another bug. But it was just from 10 feet away, I could move my arms, and he would, whatever side I had more mass on, he would figure out which way to go to always stay, in the shadow of my presence. So yeah, here's a brain all focused on this one event, doing this one thing. It does one thing really well. It can't do anything else. Can't pet the cat, can't do anything, can't have charming conversation, can't do a lot of things, but damn well it can do that. And we're just built sort of the same way. Our brain has to process a different kind of environment and see dangers in it, and to be able to be adaptive in the sense that we're not just stagnantly programmed to do this behind the branch thing. We're programmed to have all kinds of different scenarios, all kinds of different worlds we could live in, and we'll adapt to them and find the trick that's most survivable, and mimic it. We'll see something else that's is known for primates. They see, monkey do. That's what we do. We steal strategies from what we see in the environment. So yeah, our brain is doing a different kind of dance, but it's still just dancing. It's still just a bunch of processing crap coming in, play with it a little bit, have a feeling of some kind, and process an action out. And not much else is happening. And we're doing that dance at, like I said, the cost of this huge amount of attrition, this huge amount of failure, defeat, harm, pain, suffering, misery, torment, depression, just horrible experiences for a very trivial, motivated purpose. It's just this stupid mechanism of play the survivor game. And as stated, most of the contestants will die, and certainly won't be allowed to complain about it, because they'll be dead. Yeah. Alright, so probably enough for now, and maybe I'll add one more bit, and that'll be it. After dinner bit or something. So, until shortly, probably. Alright, back for some final little last bit of some kind. The last bit. Okay. Yeah, I still have, yes, just nothing. Nothing. Just nothing occurring to me to, as a subject. There just isn't any. Everybody's very boring. I dislike everyone. Saw a little bit of Paul's ego. Couldn't even watch him because he does that personality thing he has now. It's just so obnoxious. It's so queer. Yeah. Just the what it do. Do you do what you is? Is you doing the do? is you. It's just terrible. I mean, who can, jive talking, just, ugh, ugh, yeah. Insufferable. I can't suffer it. But I'm like that with everything. Everything's just becoming insufferable. And I'm hoping it's a phase, and I'll be able to suffer it again. But lately it's just everything is unsufferable. I just can't do it. Can't suffer it. Just, no, I can't do that. And so yeah, not much to report on. I mean, I have my index of crap. And, Angela's cat, that's okay. This was some anti-Contavad video that, about the can't suffer the religious anymore or something. Not very interesting. Snake Plisskenus, it's, MGTOW bullshit. Like, who could possibly care about this, whatever this, it's like the hype, and you got all this hype about, like, North Korea. Yeah, I should talk about that because people seem to think we're going to go to war or something, which, no chance of that happening, realistically, unless we do something insane, like invade North Korea, but, it's a Cold War. It's, just a war of words. So it goes all the way back to, like, Khrushchev, and how they perverted his statements, where he said, "We'll bury you on the ash heap of history." And the only part people paid attention to was the "we'll bury you" part. So he thought Khrushchev was going to come over here with his bulldozer and bury us all. That kind of thing. And all he was saying is, "we'll survive the test of time." But obviously he didn't realize a bunch of, what do you call them, traitors would become dictator of Russia and destroy it all. Turned into just another capitalist shithole. But anyway, kind of a sad story, actually. The survivor was Castro. Castro was the, the one man we couldn't kill or something. But yes, we couldn't take care of Castro. We're going to take on North Korea. I mean, we have little Castro in little Cuba, 100 miles away, and we can't really deal with that for, 50 years. And yet we're going to walk into a country full of, whatever, 30 million, I don't know how many million, 100 million, I don't know, 50 million people, all completely uneducated, and we want to own that country. For what? What are we going to do with all those people? The rich are stupid, but they're not stupid. That's stupid. Like I said, they want to buy military hardware. They want to scare people into thinking they have to have a high military budget, and we have to have more bombs, and we have to have stuff. So that's what they do all this shit for, is to pass the military budget. But they really don't want a war. I mean, they want to lob stuff around. They love the Middle East because you can just throw bombs over there and burn up some money, and no one gives a shit. But you start doing that at North Korea, you're going to get into the human problem really quick. So, a bunch of the North Koreans are going to come flying over the border into South Korea. South Korea ain't going to want to deal with all that shit. And then you're going to have a few millions of refugees. And then you got to do something about the country itself. Somebody's got to take responsibility for it. And it's going to be really expensive to take responsibility for it. What are we going to do? Give it to China? We'll just give North Korea to China? I mean, it's stupid. It's stupid. Nobody has an interest in a war with North Korea. And nobody rational, of course. That is even, like I said, it can even do the basic addition that if we're spending a bunch of money on taking care of people, then we won't have money to spend on McDonnell Douglas and shit. And so they can't make money. We won't be able to make money in the stock market if we have to piss away a whole bunch of money feeding and caring for people. So, just illogical. But enough politics. I just can't stand political subjects anymore because it's so redundant. I don't know how people my age stand it. I don't know how they can hear people talk about stuff like it's news when it's like, oh, we've been there and done that so many fucking times, And North Korea is like that. If you've been alive any kind of period of time, North Korea has been the boogeyman for since Reagan. Bush called it the evil empire. I mean, this hysteria has existed in the background forever. And it's just such bullshit. It's like China and Taiwan. That'll probably show up again someday. These little crises, and they're just invented to keep people distracted and off the subject, while the rich get richer. That's it. But anyway, yeah, it's just well, anyway, just can't stand anybody or anything. I hate this planet. It just stinks. I think I'm just going to change my name to Agent Smith. Because, humans are the enemy. Machines ain't worth a shit either, but, I mean, the humans, they actually stink, besides being idiotic. At least the machines are just idiotic. It's just, so, anyway. So let's find some other subject. Here's the French-Swiss guy doing his running thing. So it's kind of it's a very funny video. I mean, I know it's funny in the funny way. I mean, it's funny in a good funny way, not necessarily a bad funny way. But yeah, it's really good music. As you put it to good music, it's just but yeah, it's good. Well done. As projects go, it's a well done project. Thunderfoot did some whatever, just gets all this money from people, so he buys all these toys and does things, and it's just like, did an infrared thermal picture of Old Faithful. Totally uninteresting, I would think. It's hot water. Ooh, look, a picture of hot water. Gee, no, not for me. That doesn't intrigue me. Anyway, it's getting ready for the big eclipse, I guess. So what else is there? Oh, the Modern Mystic. Yeah, he wiped out his Over the Peak website. It's now got whatever horses on it or something. Wouldn't think him to be into that kind of silly mush, jumping horses. You might have your interest piqued a little. You watch National Velvet or something, some oldie movie, and Tatum O'Neal made that International one. It was a really bad movie, but it was Tatum O'Neal, so it was okay. She was horribly cute. So yes, you get a little bit of interest for that sake, and then after that, you're like, jumping horses over silly things. Why would people do that? Let's go watch horses jump over fake little things to jump over. I mean, it's that's a really kind of a stupid human trick. Why don't you just pet the horses, or teach the horse how to play hopscotch or something interesting, than forcing it to jump over shit. Just leave the horses alone. So anyway, it's kind of a weird replacement for his website, but it just seems like he spent 5 years, digging into the truth of money and its creation and its manipulation. And, I don't think you can, you do that and you realize there's all these gimmicks and games being played. And it just seems like sort of an interesting subject in the sense that it's a house of cards. And, if you actually saw somebody building a house of cards, it'd be hard to just walk away. Because it's going to fall down. I mean, the wind's going to blow and the whole thing is coming down. The little asshole sitting there, his little, with his little jumping horse outside. He's not going to, it's coming down. And for him to walk away, it just seems kind of bizarre, just because you'd think he would have learned at least that yes, they've engineered lots of tricks, lots of gimmicks. They got this thing kind of glued, and it wobbles, and it does all kinds of weird shit, but it hasn't fallen down. But you gotta know it will, because it's all fake. I mean, incredibly fake. I thought of another angle on that too with the bonds, because you keep wondering, how do they keep selling bonds? Because they're of no value. I mean, you don't get anything back. You know, you buy a 10-year bond and get 2% interest or something. You're like glued to 2% for 10 years. I mean, that just sucks. So you're saying, yeah, I can almost buy anything and get a better return. And you'd also realize that, hey, this isn't the safe investment it used to be, because what if the economy collapses and the government doesn't, you know, the FDIC insurance thing ain't going to work because they got $70 million insuring $7 trillion. So obviously the 70 million isn't going to cover the 7 trillion. So where are they going to get the money? They still got to pay the Social Security checks, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of obvious the only place they could get the money is to print it. And so it's Germany 19 whatever. I don't know when it was exactly. But yes, it's Germany then, you know, 20 something or other. And, you know, a loaf of bread is $1,000. And so what's the point of being guaranteed your money back from the government when the money they're going to give you back won't be worth 1 cent on the dollar you gave them? So you gave them $1 and they give you a penny back. That's not much of a guarantee. So fuck that. So why would you buy it? You wouldn't buy it as security. Well, anyway, so my point is, they buy them because they can resell them without selling them. It's collateral, essentially. So they just borrow at almost a 0 interest rate on the bond. And that's sort of what the money in the Federal Reserve is just money held at no interest, at no expense, as capital, as an IOU. And then you can reinvest the money. So in a sense, it's just, and that's what they did. They got rid of all the, they moved from fractional reserve banking to not even a fractional reserve banking, in the sense that all the assets are now convertible into cash, and you can reinvest the money. So if you have an asset, you can just pretend it's money, and the banks can just print money to the amount of assets they have, and so it gives them almost an unlimited ability to lend money. So it's like they take in a house mortgage, and the value of the house is valued at, say, $400,000, and they have the full equity is in their name. They own the equity of the house, and what they basically do is just say, that's as good as cash, because it's in our vault, and so we can spend that money and we can buy stock with it. So they just print the money to buy the stock based on the mortgaged property as collateral. So that's like no reserve banking, because they've already spent the asset value of what's supposed to be the security. So anyway, the point being is that, yes, that's why bonds sell, is because you don't have to pay for them, so to speak. You can buy a bond, and then just in a sense, somebody else will give you money, like the government, the Federal Reserve, will give you money equaling the value of the bond for free, or very low interest. So you can capitalize the investment. So maybe you'll get no interest. You know, the bond interest might be 2%. You'll pay 2% on the loan, so it's a transaction. You get a bond for 2%, you sell the equity of the bond at a rate of a 2% loan, and so you break even. And the point is you own you technically have both things. You have the equity of the bond, sort of, and you have the profit on whatever investments you can purchase with the equity of the bond. So it doesn't hurt you to own a bond, in a sense. So that's why people buy them. It's because it doesn't hurt to own one. It doesn't cost you anything. The rich can do it for free, is the point. You can't do it that way. They can. Alright, so I threw a little bit of economics in there. But that's the racket. That's the house of cards. So when the bankruptcies start, that's the giveaway sign. So once the bankruptcies are allowed to happen, but see, that's all they've done is stop all the bankruptcies. That's what they did under Bush when they saved the banks. Is what they did was they took all the junk stock and the government guaranteed it. FDIC insured it and then resold it based on a guarantee. So it was guaranteed junk. So even though it's completely useless shit, government will pay you to buy it. And so that way it didn't go bankrupt, and that way nobody has to resolve their debts. So as long as they can keep bankruptcies from happening, then they can pretend that the whole system isn't bankrupt. But if bankruptcies start getting out of control, that's when everybody starts saying, I want the real money. And once everybody's pointing at the government going, I want my real money. So once they show up with that junk stock and say, you guaranteed this shit, I want my money. Say the stock market crashes or something. Those people have the right to go up to the government and say, give me the original price. That's what the guarantee means. So they can't lose money. And it's like all the pension funds. The government has guaranteed them all. So if the stock market crashes, all the pension holders are going to run to the government and go, hey, let's pretend the stock crash didn't happen. You guaranteed my pension. So that's what I mean by the bankruptcies have all been guaranteed by funds that can't possibly take care of it if the flood happens. So it's like you've oversold flood insurance. You have zero equity. You have zero money. You've collected a whole bunch of people have paid you for insurance, and when the crisis comes, you're going to just say, bankrupt. I don't got the money. And the government, like I said, the only response it's going to have, the only possibility it's going to have is it has to print the cash. And once it does that, inflation goes yeah, insanely, very, very fast. Your money's not going to be worth anything. Your pension's not going to be worth anything. You know, oh, I have a $25,000 pension, a year pension. Well, that ain't going to mean anything when you need $170 million a year, to live in Brooklyn. Brooklyn might be an okay place now. I'm not sure. Anyway, some bummy place to live in a trailer park. It'd be like the Japanese. Their yen used to be $1. I mean, just imagine the shock if somebody fell asleep like in 1940 and then they woke up, all of a sudden in 2017, they found out that their, the 100 yen they had in their mattress, can't even buy them a stick of gum. Anyway. But yeah, that's what we're heading for. That'll be the comeuppance and such. Alright, so that's enough of that. Enough economic shit. So, I have been doing a lot of physics videos and thinking on the subject and whatnot, but it's all these stupid trolls to argue with. Nobody's arguing actual physics. They're just arguing your right to have an idea, which they claim you don't have the right to do. And they don't have any responsibility to demonstrate anything. You have to prove everything. So everything they don't have to prove, you have to prove. Simple things like I could say to people, why doesn't light bang off of light? Right? It is a curious fact. You can shoot flashlights at each other and the light doesn't hit each other. Light beams just don't interact. Photons don't hit photons. It's a curious question. Well, regular physics has no answer. But if I come up with something and I say two things go right through each other, they'll tell me I have to explain that or they won't even listen. I won't even hear your idea until you explain how that's possible. It's that kind of hypocrisy. So, anyway, it's a nasty business. Everything's a nasty business on this planet. The people are, generally speaking, nasty pieces of shit. Crooks and thieves and manipulators and cheaters. They're just, so many people are just cheating their way through their lives. Cheaters. Fakers, frauds, phonies. Bamboozlers. Yes, that's it. They're bamboozling. Oof. Alright. Is there anything else that needs to be reported? Probably, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm eventually going to get back to making videos. I'm just not currently inclined. Yeah, that's it. I do want to try to get to I do a little performance art of some kind in these videos, some sort of, make them more something. But I haven't figured out exactly what this something would be. I need to just do some different things. That's what, so if I did different things, then I would find out what things people like and which ones they don't like. But doing the same thing, well, that's probably a mistake. Yeah. But, it's hard, yeah, I just, there's just the simple truth is I'm trying to do too many things, and you can't do them well that way. It's one of those physics things again, multitasking. You do compromise performance over here when you're maximizing performance over here, kind of thing. So, I have too many interests and too many distractions. And besides that, I have lost all will to live. Yeah, and that makes it even harder. When you lose all will to live, then you have to do this process, the stuff you have to do while you're alive. You have to be living to do it, and you don't have any will to live. It's like walking to the store barefoot or something. It just makes it that much tougher. Alright, that's really enough. So, yeah, that's enough. Alright, till the next time. And, yeah, I think that's all. Seems to me there's something else lingering. But can't get the real essence of it, so we'll let it go. So, try not to, be catastrophically ruined. Yeah, that's the best advice I have. But whatever. I guess it doesn't matter. You never see the piano that falls on you, kind of thing, until it's too late. All you can do is strum the first few notes of taps, and that's it. It's no irony that was, when I played the trumpet, that was my favorite song to play, was taps. Yeah. Funny. A little bit funny.